Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Fixing My Tools. On this episode, I changed the bearings in my Harbor Freight 4x6 belt sander. It had started making some noises and it just wasn't working very well. So I changed the bearings in here and now it's working like a champ. I didn't initially plan on filming this, so I didn't show the teardown, but it's not very difficult to tear it down. But let's go ahead and show you how I changed those bearings. There are bearings on the upper roller and the lower roller. This is the lower roller, and that's the only ones I needed to change. After I get the machine apart, now it's time to get the pressed on bearing off of the shaft, and I use my press to do that. It took me a little bit to figure this out, but it's a lot easier just using a couple of pieces of metal across it instead of the cast iron metal that came with it. And yep, that bearing is crispity crunchity. After initially wiping off this journal, I take it over and throw a wire wheel that is on it and get it cleaned up. Once I had the bearing off of there, I cleaned it off to get the number mailed off, and that's a brand new bearing right there that I'm going to press onto the shaft. I will get some kind of a tube over it and kind of tap that down a little bit. I know, I said I was going to get a tube, but the crescent wrench was right there and I didn't feel like looking for a tube. But it worked, I got it on. Now this bearing in here should have just popped out, but it didn't. So I decided to pack it with grease and see if I could use hydraulics to get it out of there. Believe it or not, this should have just popped right out of there, but no, they just didn't want to budge. This probably would have worked, but the grease just pushed through the seals. Well, it is hydraulically going up through there, but it's coming through the sealed part of the bearing. I might have to go with plan C. Well, it did knock the seal out of there, but I was kind of afraid that was going to happen. I have no idea what to do next. I'll keep on thinking about it. Alright, let's get this thing back together. Okay, that bearing is out, and I did try everything. I tried freezing it, I tried heating it, and I couldn't get it out of there. I'll show you a little later what I did. I think I'm going to get that other bearing on there first before I stick that on. Let's see here. Couple of little love taps. Just so I can keep track of the nuts and bolts, I usually put them back exactly where I got them, and now I'll just take them apart one by one so that I can get them back in the correct spots. Now I'm just checking the alignment of it, make sure it's all lined up correctly, and then I'll get the 3 bolts into where they go. You can see on the left side of that bearing cap where I took the grinder and then took a small punch and knocked that bearing out of there. So that's how I did it. Oh man, that thing, it's like butter, like a hunk of butter. Now I left these bolts on so I know where they went. The carriage bolts here, and kind of makes it easy to remember where they go back into. That comes through there. That comes through there, but this bottom one has to come off too. in order to get the one bolt under the belt guard tightened. It's easier to put it in a vertical position. And now it's time to install the pulley. However, of course, as you can imagine, it doesn't want to go on like it's supposed to. So I try to figure out if there's some burrs in there, and I eventually use a little bit more persuasion on it. And the pulley finally agreed it wanted to go into place. Now right after I tried this pulley, a lot went on. One is I shortened the length of that belt. Also I moved the motor, but right now I'll just show you the Reader's Digest version. I adjusted the motor first, and then I realized I should probably change the belt size too. That's like butter. That's like butter. And now that it's running smooth, it's time to get the rest of the parts on that I'm going to put back on. Alright, now that we got the bearings changed, this back plate that goes on here, a lot of the guys, especially the woodworkers, leave that off of there just so they can do quick belt changes. I think I'm going to do the same thing. For example, you leave that and the guard off of there, and when I say guard, I'm actually talking about a fence. That fence that goes across here. A lot of guys rig it up to where it connects on this side, and I probably will. But just to show how quickly the belt can be changed with that stuff off of there, it's just a matter of loosening the tension, sliding the belt on, tensioning it up. That is so much better. And to take it off, you just loosen the tension, slide it off, you can put another one on. There you go. Alright. So just to do a quick little thing on how to get it apart, basically you have to take the belt guard off and then remove the pulley. Then you remove these three, or actually four 9/16 bolts off of there, and that allows you to get to the screws on that to get it off, and you can take screws off of there, and you take this bottom thing off. Now I didn't plan on making a video, and that's why I didn't show the taking it apart, but once I got it down, I thought somebody could learn something from the bearing change. So I'll probably use this fence now on this side, because I've never really used. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah. So that's what I'll do. I'll use this little fence in here, and there we go. Be real easy to belt change this thing now. Alright.